Hello, today we're going to be examining the similarities and differences between the Odyssey and Captain America Civil War. Today we'll be looking at the two heroes of the stories, Odysseus and Captain America. So right here we've got Odysseus on the left and Captain America on the right. And for this video, we're going to be showing how Odysseus and Captain America both exemplify the hero archetype due to the fact that they can both make mistakes. They cause death and suffering, even if their goal was to restore peace, and they're both at battle with a larger, more powerful force. So, first of all, let's look at a summary of both stories before we even start. And first of all, Odysseus' story is about his journey to return back to Ithaca to take revenge on the suitors who have pillaged his home and trying to take in his wife for the years while he was gone. And for Odysseus, he goes through many near-death experiences and is in a battle against the mighty gods. And he manages to finally return home and exact his revenge at the end of the Odyssey. Now, in contrast here, in Captain America Civil War, large amounts of damage and death to innocent civilians splits the Avengers apart on whether they should have government interference or not. And Captain America believes that they should not be with the government. And after the Vienna UN building is blown up, he's trying to help his brainwashed friend, Bucky Barnes. So once Captain America discovers the real bomber, Zemo, his goal is to stop him, but he is stopped by the other Avengers. After stopping Zemo and fighting off Iron Man, the movie ends with the Avengers split but victorious. So on the left here we can see Captain America and Iron Man in this final battle once that he had taken down Zemo. And over here, this is at the Vienna UN bombing, and this is the king of Wakanda right here who was killed, and this is his son. Okay. So we're going to go now here, and we're going to look back at, first of all, as we said before in our thesis, that heroes make mistakes and they grow stronger because of it. So first of all, Captain America, he makes irrational decisions that put himself and others in danger in order to protect his friend Bucky, who's framed for a terrorist attack on the UN building in Vienna. And you can see right here, this is Bucky in 1991, and this is where Iron Man's parents were, Tony Stark, and he was brainwashed. His mind was programmed to do these kind of things, and he's been in this sort of thing that he can't control, and he was framed for the terrorist attack on Vienna. So he went against the Avengers, and he betrayed his friends, which nearly broke apart the Avengers entirely. And again, as I said, in 1991, Bucky was brainwashed and he killed Tony Stark's parents. But Captain America tried to hide this, and he lied to Tony Stark. And this was a huge mistake, because it split apart the Avengers even more. And these exemplify Captain America's hero archetype, because even when he makes these really big mistakes, he finds ways to keep himself and his friends' lives. He learns from these mistakes. And we really see him sort of develop throughout and really show how much of a hero he is. And even when others believe that you aren't doing the right thing, to keep going forward and doing what you believe is right. And he eventually did that. So now we'll look at Odysseus here. And on the other hand, Odysseus also makes mistakes, which further exemplify his hero archetype. So, for instance, in Book 9, which is about when they reach the Cyclops Island, Odysseus has to fight off the mighty Cyclops, Polyphemus, and his heroics save his ship and his men. But him getting stuck there in the first place and being attacked by Poseidon were due to his arrogance and belief that no one could stop him. While he did escape, showing his cunning ability to get out of tough situations, he still could have died. So obviously, in Odysseus' case, he was trapped inside the cave but he managed to use his sort of cunning abilities to get out of the cave and save most of his men that weren't eaten, but also his, you know, often his arrogance leads to bad things. And in the case of that, Poseidon would eventually destroy his ship, and he was Poseidon, who was the father of Polyphemus, was enraged by this. So Odysseus also makes big mistakes, but even regardless of that, he can still persevere through to his end goal of reaching Ithaca. So the next trait of heroes is that even though they do great and valiant things, they can also cause death and suffering, even if it is unintentional. So in Captain America's case, he dealt with the Sokovia Accords over the death of innocent civilians in Wakanda. And he also put many people in danger over helping Bucky, who was still dangerous and fighting against his fellow Avengers. And this shows that heroes are not perfect, and that sometimes you have to fight against others to try to restore peace. And as I said before, Captain America did what he believed was right, and he eventually managed to get peace. And obviously there was still suffering, there was still death, but it was for the greater good of mankind. Now, on Odysseus' case, he also unintentionally causes suffering and death of his crewmates due to his negligence and arrogance. And in Book 12, for instance, his men are killed because they eat the cattle of Helios, because Odysseus was asleep. And his negligence and arrogance often leads to him being in predicament, and also puts himself and his men in dangerous situations. And he also goes through extreme suffering, because he was trapped on Calypso's island and nearly killed by Zeus and Poseidon. And even though all that he has faced, he still reaches his goal to get back to Ithaca, even if he is the only one left. So he had to make sacrifices, and he made mistakes, but overall, in the end, he managed to succeed. So now we're going to look here back at Captain America, and the final trait that exemplifies the hero archetype for both Captain America and Odysseus is that they are at battle with a seemingly far more powerful force, and yet they manage to succeed in their journeys, which exemplifies their hero archetypes. So first of all, with Captain America, he was fighting against the Avengers, some of the strongest heroes in all of the universe, as well as trying to fight Zemo. And even though the unlikely impossibility of winning, he managed to restore peace and show that he was worthy and strong enough to win, even in dire situations where it seemed like he was going to lose. And similarly, with Odysseus, he also has to overcome great feats in his journey back to Ithaca. And in his return home, he's trying to overcome the wrath of Poseidon, who tries to thwart his journey home after he blinded Polyphemus' eye. And in Book 5 and Book 13, Poseidon attempts to try and kill Odysseus by wrecking his ship in a storm. Odysseus, however, managed to escape, and even when a god so powerful in the ancient world wanted him dead. And I'd say that this really shows that Odysseus went through great leaps, and even when he was the last on his journey back home, he used his smarts and cunning nature to avoid death many times, which further displays how he is a hero. I mean, with Odysseus here, he was against gods. He was a mere mortal fighting against Poseidon and Zeus, and he still managed to win, which is an incredible feat and something that shouldn't be taken lightly and really shows how much of a hero he is. So really, in conclusion here, while Odysseus' journey and Captain America's are far different, and the success of their missions varied, they still both exemplified the hero archetype. It doesn't matter how they got there. That's the difference in their stories. And their varying amounts of success. Odysseus managed to completely come home. Now, Captain America, at the end of the movie, he wanted obviously the Avengers to be united, and he wanted peace, and he didn't get the Avengers united. But they both exemplify the hero archetype. And though their failures, the death and destruction they cause, and the seemingly impossible ones that stand in their way, they both continue to get stronger and show that they are both heroes. So that's mainly the argument, and really shows how both of these characters both exemplify the hero archetype, even though their stories are far different in what they're trying to accomplish and what they're fighting for, what they're fighting against. But in the end, they're still both have similar qualities in how they display and exemplify that hero archetype.